scientists. Today we're going to continue on with our balancing forces unit. In our last lesson, we figured out that magnetic force is a non-touching force and that it acts on some objects but not others. Remember that when you used the magnet, you could move some of the other objects without touching them. It didn't work on all of the objects though, remember. So we call that a non-touching force because it's a force that makes something move without touching. Today, we're going to investigate this question. In what ways can magnetic forces make an object move? In what ways can magnetic forces make an object move? So last time we found evidence that a magnetic force can be a pull because it pulls an object towards it. Some students investigated different ways that magnetic forces can make an object move by making magnet tricks. I'm about to show you a video of two students using a magnet to make other objects move, and they look like magnet tricks because they're really cool. As you watch the magnet tricks, I want you to think about the forces that you're seeing in the tricks. So in that video, we observed that magnetic force can be a pull and it can be a push. Scientists use the words attract and repel when talking about non-touching pulls and pushes. So hopefully you noticed with your own magnet that you can push other objects without touching them, which is called repelling. And you can also pull other objects without touching them, which is called attracting. Let's go ahead and write those two words in our vocabulary page in our science notebook. So I'm going to get out my reading notebook because I'm using this as my science notebook, and I'm going to get my page ready.
So remember, I'm using my reading notebook as my science notebook also because I don't have an extra notebook. So I had a tab in there for my science notebook section. So I'm going to go to that tab. And here on my first page is my vocabulary. So this is where we left off on the last lesson. So we have two vocabulary words we're going to add today. I'm going to skip a line after the last one I wrote and write the next number, which is 6, because my last one was 5. And now I'm ready to write the next word. So go ahead and open your notebook and turn to the right page where you're writing your vocabulary so that you can be ready to copy down the words along with the video.
Okay, so the first vocabulary word you're going to write down, which is number 6 on the page because we left off at 5, is the word attract. So go ahead and skip a line after your last definition you wrote, and then write the number 6 outside the margin. And then next to the number 6, write the word attract. The definition of attract is to pull on an object even without touching it. Pause the video now so that you can copy that definition down. Attract means to pull on an object even without touching it. The next word, number 7, is the word repel. Repel means to push on an object even without touching it. So skip a line after your definition for attract, write the number 7 outside the margin, and then write the word repel, which means to push on an object even without touching it. Pause the video now so you can write the definition.
Okay, so I've written my 2 words. This is what your notebook should look like also. We have attract, to pull an object even without touching it, and repel, to push an object even without touching it.
Those vocabulary words written down, we're going to read a book to think more about forces. This kind of book is called a reference book. You can read parts of it to find specific information. So it's a nonfiction book, and usually we don't read reference books from beginning to end all at once. Like it says here, we use them to find specific pieces of information, and then we only read the part that we want at a time. So this book is called Handbook of Forces. Our purpose for reading Handbook of Forces is going to be to find out more about the ways that magnetic forces can make objects move. First, with a reference book, it's a good idea to turn to the table of contents at the beginning. I'm just going to be using pictures of the book here on these slides so that it's easier to follow along, but I will also put a link to the book on the Canvas assignment page if you would like to look at the book yourself. So in the table of contents, you can see in the picture here that the section on magnetic force is on page 14. I can see that non-touching forces is the 3rd section, and I have gravity, magnets, or electromagnets, and I want to learn more about magnets right now. So I'm going to go to page 14. This is what page 14 looks like in the book. So I'm going to read these 2 pages out loud to you, and I want you to listen to find more about ways that magnetic forces can make objects move. After I read, I'm going to have you talk about the ways that magnetic forces make objects move. Here we go. I'm starting up here at the top where it says non-touching forces, magnets. Magnets can pull or push some objects without touching them. When magnets push away from each other, we say they are repelling each other. When they pull toward each other, we say they are attracting each other. Magnetic force is a kind of non-touching force. Now I'm going to read in these green boxes. This first one says, these magnets stick together because of magnetic force. Whenever you see a magnet attract or repel a piece of metal or another magnet, it's evidence that magnetic force is acting on the objects. So here's a picture of some magnets all sticking together, little small magnets. This is evidence that a magnetic force is acting on all of these magnets. And then down here it says, some refrigerators are made of a kind of metal that attracts magnets. These magnets stick to the refrigerator with magnetic force. Now I'm up here on page 15. Magnets can attract only certain kinds of objects, such as other magnets and things made of a metal called iron. They can repel only other magnets. Magnets exert magnetic force on other magnets. 2 magnets will either attract or repel each other. And I can look at these pictures to help me explain what that means. So this picture says these magnets are attracting each other, which means the magnets are moving toward each other. And in this picture, it says these magnets are repelling each other, which means the magnets are moving apart from each other. This compass uses a magnet. The magnet points north and tells you which direction you are facing. So the question is, what did you find out about ways magnetic forces can make objects move? I want you to pause the video and talk out loud to your partner, anybody else that's in the room with you. If you don't have anybody else there to talk to, remember you can talk to a stuffed animal also. What did you find out about ways magnetic forces can make objects move? Here's the page again. So remember, you can pause the video and go back to this page to find out what you know about ways magnets and magnetic forces make objects move. Pause the video now and answer this question. Do you find out about ways magnetic forces can make objects move? Hopefully you said something about magnets can make objects move by repelling them, which means to push them away without touching them, or by attracting them, which means to pull them toward them without touching them. So those are the two ways that magnetic forces can make objects move. Now, I'm going to show you two questions that you are going to answer on Canvas. So you're going to do a media recording of yourself answering both of these questions on the Canvas assignment page. And the questions are typed on the assignment so that you can remember what they are when you go there. Here's the first question. What is something you read in Handbook of Forces that has to do with some of the magnet tricks? So remember the video that I showed you of the boys making the magnet tricks? I want you to think about something we just read on those 2 pages of the book that relates or has to do with those magnet tricks. The second question is, do you think any of the tricks had an attracting magnetic force, a repelling magnetic force, or both? So remember that you can go back in this video and watch that little clip of the boys doing the magnet tricks. And then you have some evidence to talk about to answer these questions. What is something you read in the book that has to do with some of the magnet tricks? And do you think any of the tricks had an attracting magnetic force, a repelling magnetic force, or both? So remember, you're going to do a media submission on Canvas to talk into the camera to answer these questions. You don't need to write anything. You're just answering them out loud to your teacher. All right, good work, scientists. I'll post the video on the same assignment page, so you should see a link there to, or I'm sorry, I'll post the book. So you should see a link there to read the book yourself if you'd like to. Remember to pause this video and go back as much as you need to, and then make a recording of yourself to answer those last 2 questions. Good work, scientists. I'll see you next time.